Legendary Modern Decks 2026 releases on March 13th. Technically, you could call this a structure deck, meaning that this video should be categorized under deconstructing, but I'll take any excuse I can get to not make another one of those because ain't nobody clicking on them. That's part of the reason I skipped the previous legendary decks that had the Junk Warrior support, but the main reason was that I forgot that set existed until it came out. And honestly, I think Konami did too. Here's everything you need to know. X-Saber Polina is a Beast Warrior tuner that sacks itself on summon to summon 2 X-Sabers from deck, but kill them in the end phase, and if it's used as synchro material, that synchro can either attack twice or directly. X-Saber Bruno is a Psychic tuner that can banish an Earth from hand, field, or grave to summon itself, searches a Saber spell trap on summon, and can sync during your opponent's turn. Saber Combination is a continuous spell that summons an X-Saber from hand or deck when you summon one from the extra, summons one from hand when your opponent attacks, and while your grave has X Sabers in it,
Roman numeral 10.
All your X-Sabers gain attack equal to their defense. X-Saber Gotham searches a Saber or Gotham spell trap on summon, snipes a card from hand when he does battle damage, and when your X-Saber is attacked, he can come back from grave and take the attack for them. And Commander Souza Swordmaster is an X-Saber that gains 2 for every banished card, draws a card when he runs something over, can protect himself from destruction by banishing a Saber card from grave, and when your opponent activates something, he can contribute an X-Saber to pop a card. This support kinda falls short of pulling X-Saber out of the gutter it was left in. Despite Polina being pre-errata rescue cat with ignition priority, the pool of monsters you can summon is extremely shallow. You want to use her to make Gotham so you can search second call, so you're going to want to get a 3 and a 4. Bruno is a pretty good 3, but for 4s, your options are pretty much either Boggart Knight, who reopens the classic argument of is Tin Goldfish an extender, or Garcim, who the deck has not developed any way to make use of. If this video ends up shorter than 8 minutes, I guess we can talk about Piranha for Primite. And we have to talk about Bruno, because his effects are a bit deceptive. Saber back row hasn't really improved much in quality ever since the days when dual terminal decks didn't have back row for some reason, with the only one that even resembles something usable in a modern context being Hole, and we don't talk about summon negates. So they had to make a new one off the top of their heads, and I mean, combination does do something if you're already playing. You can use it when you summon Gothams to summon Ragigura from deck, careful not to miss that timing, so you can add back Bruno to summon with his own effect while also putting a 1 on board to tune with Polina and to Nat Beast, but it's frustrating that it can't do anything on its own or even just off of being searched by Bruno. It makes both of them into kinda bad draws. But then there's also the question of Bruno's quick sync, which could be used to summon Hyunlei, but more commonly is just going to be a way to trigger combination on your opponent's turn so that you have something to tribute for Souza rather than tribute himself for his once per turn detonation. What puzzles me the most though about the support is that even with how little the deck had to work with to design modern support around, these cards seriously don't lean into any of the strengths the deck has going for it. None of these cards help you find Fall Troll, a crazy good extension tool that could give the deck some amount of explosivity. There isn't like a hand quick effect to search with Dark Soul in the end phase to fire during your opponent's turn. And despite fears of what this deck could become, these cards don't really help you at all to loop XX Gothams to have a real oppressive edge to try to leverage. And before you go to comment, I'm actually glad this deck is bad because I don't want Gotham's hand loop to be good, consider that I don't really give a shit what you think. As it stands with its unremarkable board of a once per turn detonator, Nat Beast, and some link to like IP, I'm left with no choice but to give this deck the ignominious title of Bad Magnet Warrior. Skystriker Ace Camellia is a generic Link 2 that can mill Skystriker spell if you don't have enough in grave yet, and if it hits the grave, can kill an opponent's monster and give itself to them as a consolation prize, but like, only for the turn. Prototype Skystriker Amatsu is a Link 1 that can replace the effect of a monster with 2,000 or more attack, with killing a Skystriker Ace Link monster, and when it battles, it can pop an Ace you control and a card your opponent controls. Combined Maneuver Engage Zero is a Striker Ace Link 2 that needs lights and darks, can't be linked off, negates a big monster on summon, and if it attacks while Ray and Rose are dead, it can Raigeki your opponent's board. And Surgical Striker Spectra is a Link 4 that requires a link, loses the juice if you have no spells in grave, and can negate an effect activated on Chain Link 2 or higher by banishing 2 spells from hand or grave, then pop a card on field. I think they did actually give us Adel Saber. I don't really care. This card kind of sucks. A lot of crap we could skip over real quick here, like Spectra being a big, impractical, not endboard piece that Striker isn't making, because if you can summon a Link 4 with this deck, you've already won. Like, your opponent should have scooped already. And then definitely is not what you're dumping your resources into generically as some sort of shitty Apollo. This card was designed in an era where they were experimenting with this strange hand trap negate effect that we've already learned sucks, and they iterated upon with Zaylin into something playable. Engage Zero is a pretty mid tag out for for Ray that can trigger effect negate something on your opponent's turn, but its effect to clear a board is pretty useful going second. The real meat starts with Amatsu. After tagging out Ace Zero for her pop, you can use Ray to make Amatsu, whose effect will be more likely to trigger that late in the turn, forcing an opponent's extra deck monster to kill Amatsu and as a result trigger the Ray Engrave to come back. That'll also trigger Lemnis Gate Engrave to make Azalea and revenge kill the monster's effect you overwrote, but also going through Amatsu like this gives you a good ace name to get Engrave to shuffle back with a set Lemnis. And as for Camellia, this card is pretty good in Striker because loading something Engrave for Kagari to add back is useful, but it's not exactly easy to summon since Ray can't tag into it, so you probably need to resolve Rose for it. And its second effect is like, I don't know about never resolving, but since it can't be summoned twice in one turn, it can't use this effect the turn it's summoned by any means. Its real strength lies outside the scope of Sky Striker as a deck. Its materials are 2 effect monsters. Using this card in Kagari, you can use basically any deck in the game to search a striker card like Anchor or Drones. And as you might imagine, the most common place this has popped up so far has been Yummy. Being able to turn any 2 monsters on board into Cupsy gives even more decks easy ways to collaborate with Yummy, using a package of cards that Yummy is almost always playing regardless. But I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't point out some restrictions on the usage of this bridge that go kinda undiscussed with how free it would appear. Hornet Drones obviously still has its striker restriction, so while exactly 2 monsters can bridge, a 3rd monster will just get in the way, like when I enter the group chat with my friends who are all dating each other. And don't forget the whole 3 or less spells thing. Ask to see your opponent's grave when they activate this card. I guarantee you they wouldn't have even noticed if they have too many. With the reports of Yummy's death being greatly exaggerated, I imagine we'll see something we can't anticipate form a new competitive strategy with Yummy that probably isn't just going to be a direct OCG port with how the different specifics of the format have shaken out. Maybe it's going to be Magnet Warriors. Second Magnet Warrior reference in a video with only 2 segments. Maybe I'm a little bisexual. It's probably just going to be Mitsu though. And you can get your Mitsu core in this very same product, which obviously is not selling them to you because they're about to be vaporized. No reason to worry about something like that. Now just take this little piece of candy from under this box right here. Do I have any closing thoughts? Last time I had like something to talk about, but this time I'm kind of caught up on shit. Oh, I guess I can do this here. You may be wondering if there's going to be any sort of follow-up on the kind of half-baked Pumpkin segment we did last episode now that we have all the cards. Yeah, the official position of the Curry Bandits is we did not really miss anything, which is kind of sad, all things considered. That's it. Thank you for watching. The line you're typing in the comments sucks ass. Have a nice day.